Hannibal Barca, the man who crossed the Alps to destroy Rome. In 218 BC, a young Carthaginian general named Hannibal Barca did something no military commander before him had attempted, and few after him would ever dare to replicate. He led an army of tens of thousands of soldiers, along with a herd of war elephants, across the towering ice-covered peaks of the Alps mountains, descending directly into Italy to strike at the Roman Republic on its own soil. What followed became one of the most devastating military campaigns in ancient history, and one of the closest calls Rome ever faced to complete and total destruction. Hannibal's hatred of Rome was, according to ancient historians, instilled in him from childhood. His father, Hannibal Barca, a prominent Carthaginian general who had fought Rome during the First Punic War, reportedly made a young Hannibal swear a solemn oath before a religious altar, vowing he would never be a friend to Rome for as long as he lived. Whether this specific account is entirely accurate or embellished by later historians, Hannibal's actions throughout his adult life left little doubt about the genuine intensity of his commitment to Carthage's rivalry with Rome. By 218 BC, tensions between Carthage and Rome had escalated into what historians now call the Second Punic War, triggered by a dispute over a Spanish city allied with Rome that Hannibal, then commanding Carthaginian forces in Spain, besieged and captured despite Roman objections. Rather than waiting for Rome to bring the fight to Carthaginian territory, Hannibal made an audacious decision that stunned military strategists of his era and continues to be studied by military historians today. Instead of a conventional naval campaign, which would have played directly into Rome's naval strength, Hannibal decided to march his entire army overland, through hostile Gallic territory in modern-day France, and then directly across the Alps mountains into Italy itself. The crossing, which took place in late autumn as winter weather was already setting in across the mountains, proved catastrophic for Hannibal's forces, even before encountering a single Roman soldier. Ancient historians describe brutal conditions, freezing temperatures, narrow, treacherous mountain paths covered in ice and snow, and repeated attacks from hostile local tribes who ambushed the struggling army as it moved through narrow mountain passes. Ancient sources suggest Hannibal's forces suffered devastating losses during the crossing itself, with some estimates suggesting nearly half of his original army perished from cold, starvation, falls from treacherous mountain paths, or tribal attacks before ever reaching Italian soil, and only a fraction of his famous war elephants survived the crossing. Despite these catastrophic losses, Hannibal emerged in northern Italy and immediately began winning a series of stunning military victories against Roman forces sent to stop him. At the Battle of Trebia in December of 218 BC, Hannibal decisively defeated a much larger Roman army through careful tactical positioning and a concealed ambush force, establishing an early pattern of Hannibal consistently outmaneuvering Roman commanders despite frequently being outnumbered. His most devastating victory came in 216 BC at the Battle of Cannae, still studied today in military academies worldwide as one of history's most perfectly executed tactical encirclements. Facing a Roman army numbering as many as 80,000 soldiers, nearly double the size of his own forces, Hannibal deliberately arranged his troops in a crescent-shaped formation designed to bend backward under the initial Roman assault, drawing Roman forces deep into the center of his line before his cavalry, having already routed the smaller Roman cavalry units on the flanks, wheeled around and attacked the Roman army from behind, completely surrounding them. The resulting battle became one of the single bloodiest days in ancient military history, with ancient historians estimating Roman losses potentially exceeding 50,000 soldiers killed in a single day, a catastrophic defeat that left Rome facing genuine serious fear that Hannibal might march directly on the city itself and end the Republic entirely. Remarkably, despite this crushing victory, Hannibal never actually marched on Rome itself, a decision ancient and modern historians have debated extensively ever since. Some historians argue Hannibal lacked the siege equipment and reinforcements necessary to successfully besiege Rome's heavily fortified walls, while others suggest he hoped his repeated battlefield victories would convince Rome's Italian allies to abandon the Republic and join his cause instead, gradually isolating Rome without requiring a direct siege, a strategy that ultimately proved less effective than he'd hoped, since the majority of Rome's key allies remained loyal despite his victories. Rome, rather than continuing to meet Hannibal in open battle where he had proven consistently superior, adopted a new strategy under the general Fabius Maximus, deliberately avoiding direct confrontation and instead focusing on harassing Hannibal's supply lines while allowing his army to wear down through attrition, a strategy that proved deeply controversial among Roman citizens demanding a decisive victory, but ultimately denied Hannibal the additional major battles he needed to force Rome into surrender. Hannibal remained in Italy for over a decade, winning battles but never able to force Rome's actual capitulation, as Roman resources, population, and alliance network across Italy gradually proved more resilient than Carthage's ability to reinforce and sustain his campaign from overseas. Eventually, Rome, under the young general Scipio Africanus, took the war directly to Carthaginian territory in North Africa, forcing Hannibal's recall from Italy to defend Carthage itself. In 202 BC at the Battle of Zama, Scipio, having studied Hannibal's own tactics extensively, finally defeated him decisively, ending the Second Punic War and Carthage's status as a major Mediterranean power. Hannibal survived the war and continued serving Carthage in a political capacity for several years afterward, eventually fleeing into exile as Roman political pressure mounted against him personally. He spent his remaining years moving between various kingdoms in the eastern Mediterranean, continuing to offer military advice to rulers opposing Roman expansion until Roman forces, still relentlessly pursuing him even decades after his Italian campaign had ended, finally cornered him in his final refuge. Rather than allow himself to be captured and handed over to Rome, Hannibal took his own life around 183 BC, reportedly by poison he had kept for exactly this purpose, ending the life of a man Roman historians themselves, even centuries later, still described with a mixture of fear and genuine admiration for his tactical brilliance. What makes Hannibal's story endure more than 2,000 years later isn't simply the audacity of crossing the Alps or the tactical brilliance displayed at Cannae, still studied by military strategists today, but the broader lesson of a commander who won nearly every battle he fought, yet still ultimately lost the war. A stark reminder that even the most brilliant tactical genius cannot always overcome the deeper structural advantages of a determined, resilient opponent. If stories like this, where military brilliance collided with the unstoppable resilience of an empire, are exactly what you come here for, subscribe to The Grave Details, because history holds more stories like this than most people will ever know.